very stimulating State of the Nation dialogue. And again, we thank you for being here today. We thank you, distinguished members of the fourth realm, the media. Thank you so much for coming. And the way the program is going to go now is that we're going to be asking for the introduction of the media houses that are present here, just so that we have some level of familiarization to what we are doing today, before the president gives his address. Thank you. The media houses that are present, please, you can start from channels.
Hello, my name is Silas Ezugu from Dada Reporters.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is John Chuks Azon. I work with Daily Trust.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Omole Timothy. I work with Citizen FM Abuja.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Abulu Adekumbi, Abok Channels Television.
Thank you.
Ikechukwu Nochiri, Vanguard newspaper.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sunday Chike.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Okezie Augustine, Ray Power FM.
Thank you.
My name is Vivian Okije. I report for People's Daily.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Wando Sombu, News Agency of Nigeria.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Ifeoma Nwovu. I work for Radio Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Omenka Amrachu from NTA.
Thank you. So we're good. The next item on the agenda is Mr. President's address. Thank you.
Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, members of the press. I thank you for coming. I again welcome you to the NBA President State of the Nation press conference. In my remarks at yesterday's dialogue, I did apologize to Nigerians for what I believe to be an abdication of responsibility on the part of the legal profession. It is my firm persuasion that if we had acted under the influence of the spirit behind the profound statements I referred to in my remarks, particularly by Sir Christopher Alexander Sapara Williams, the first Nigerian called to the English bar on 17th November 1879, who said the legal practitioner lives for the direction of his people and the advancement of the cause of his country. And also Sir Adetokunbo Ademola, who said the respect in which the bar in any country is held is the best indicator of the freedom in that country. Our experience as a nation would have been different. We would certainly not have been faced with the current socio-economic and political challenges. The legal profession, to a great extent, has not held government accountable on behalf of the people of this nation. And this does not necessarily mean being confrontational with government. While I agree that there are times when it is necessary and inevitable to go into confrontations to drive certain points home or achieve certain desired goals and objectives for the common good of the people, the place of purposeful engagement and, to a limited extent, our direct involvement in the activities of government without losing sight of the ultimate objective of serving the people may yield more and better results. Like someone said, why spit fire when you do not need ashes around you? While we live to provide such directions, the use of our God-given expertise and skills remain our major tool. It was the Secretary of the Commonwealth, Right Honorable Patricia Scotland, QC, who said, "We lawyers are a dangerous breed. We challenge, we refuse to let anarchy and unfairness and inequity reign. We stand in the gap. We refuse to be silent. We fight, not with arms, but with words. We use the law as our weapon, and we wield it with skill and determination. We must teach the next generation to do the same. You play a central role in setting the parameters for the next generation of lawyers who will have the formidable task of safeguarding the rule of law in the new and challenging context in which we now live." I had yesterday alluded to the profound statements on the role of a lawyer by Kwame Nkrumah, Kenneth Kaunda, Professor Goa, Professor Olakule Orojo, and today again to Sir Adetokunbo Ademola, CJN, and Sir Christopher Alexander Sapara Williams. While these statements remain constant reminders to all members of the legal profession on one hand, on the other hand, the statements are the basis upon which Nigerians should hold all members of the legal profession to account. Nigeria is a nation of laws. It exists by reason of the Constitution which created it and all the structures in the nation. It is therefore in reference to the Constitution and the laws of the national or state houses of assembly, as the case may be, that the country can be preserved and nurtured. There is no other profession that is uniquely positioned to provide leadership in this regard than the legal profession. It is the legal profession that must interpret the laws for proper implementation. Even where the legislature makes the laws, the spirit and intent of the laws can only be prayed into, understood and applied through the instrumentality of the legal profession, the bench and the bar. When we speak in this manner, we are simply being grateful to God for this unique position we occupy by reason of the privilege of our training as lawyers. We speak in humility and deep appreciation of the responsibility that comes with the privilege. When the lion roars in the jungle to declare that no matter the economy of the jungle, I will not eat grass, the lion quickly adds, "This is no pride, it is who I am." Speaking this way for us is no pride. It is an understanding of the identity of an ideal lawyer who is ready and willing to take on the responsibilities of that identity. This is why, having consulted with stakeholders across the country and observed the difficulties being encountered by Nigerians in the implementation of the demonetization policy of the CBN, we took the initiative on behalf of Nigerians to appeal for the reconsideration of the review of the implementation policy. We wrote a letter to the CBN, other relevant government offices, and visited the Minister of Finance in this regard. Incidentally, today would have been the last day when the affected Naira notes would have ceased to be legal tender. While we commend the policy and support government's drive to stem corruption and other criminal activities by the implementation of the policy, we shall continue to insist that this is done strictly within the ambits of the law. Appreciating this responsibility on our shoulders begin with the acknowledgement that as members of the legal profession, we have failed in several respects, and this is not because Nigerian lawyers lack the intellectual wherewithal to provide the desired leadership. Nigerian lawyers are some of the best in the world. Nigeria enjoys an array of brilliant, highly intellectual, resourceful, sagacious, industrious, well-behaved and highly professional lawyers, both on the bench and on the bar. The glory the legal profession brought to this nation when the likes of Sir Udo Udoma, JSC of blessed memory, established the judiciary and pioneered the legal profession in the nation of Uganda, in the nation, or when the FRA Williams, GOK Ajayi, Abdul Razak, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Abdullahi Ibrahim, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, crisscrossed the length and breadth of this nation, developing the law has not been completely lost. Both on the bench and the bar of these nations and feed their audience when truth is still lacing up its shoes to set out from home. In this wise, I have come to tell you that the legal profession in Nigeria, bench and the bar, is not corrupt. We are not unprofessional. The instances of alleged corrupt practices and professional misconducts constitute a minute fraction of members of the legal profession. They are not our banner, our signposts, and thus cannot be a basis for the characterization of the legal profession in Nigeria. I urge Nigerians to repose confidence in the legal profession, hold us to account, report cases of misconduct, and we are committed to ensuring that the bad eggs amongst us are brought to book and dealt with decisively. We are at the verge of another general election. Besides the need to guarantee the security of the lives and properties of Nigerians as we troop out to vote in the 2023 general elections, the ultimate outcome of the election will largely depend on the interface between the bench, the bar, and the political gladiators. As members of the legal profession, serving either on the bench or at the bar, we owe Nigerians sincere and honest participation in the process. We must do all that is legitimately within our abilities, motivated by the desire to serve the cause of justice, to ensure that the relevant laws and rules, properly interpreted and applied, remain the guiding principles for our involvement in the process. While we shall stand with the courts and do everything legal to protect the integrity of the bench against any form of intimidation by the political class, any person or group of persons, we will not hesitate to call out and pursue disciplinary actions against erring judicial officers. Similarly, members of the bar who misconduct themselves while participating in the resolution of electoral disputes will face disciplinary action at the Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee, the LPDC, and the Legal Practitioners Privileges Committee, where senior advocates of Nigeria are involved. I commend INEC for all it is doing to deliver a free, fair, and credible election to Nigerians. I charge INEC to maintain its independence as we unequivocally, as a bar, declare our support to help ward off any attempt to undermine the integrity of the electoral process. The NBA is not partisan. We are not a political party. We are representative of the people. We remain neutral and must be seen to maintain our neutrality at all times. We belong to everyone and to nobody. I also thank INEC for extending the deadline for the collection of PVCs, which was a clear indication of his readiness and willingness to give every eligible Nigerian the opportunity to exercise his or her franchise. I wrote a letter in this respect based on the report by one of our senior counsel, Ms. F. Boma Alabi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, which I adopted as the NBA position and also had discussions with Mr. Festus Okoye, who assured me that the complaints were being considered. I was therefore not surprised at the intervention by INEC. At the dialogue, we invited all the presidential candidates, and I emphasize all the presidential candidates, to talk to the nation on our platform, on their plans for Nigerians should they emerge victorious at the polls, should any of them emerge victorious at the polls, on the three thematic areas of security, economy, and the administration of justice. We shall, as NBA, articulate our position arising from the State of the Nation dialogue on various subjects on behalf of Nigerians and make them available to all the presidential candidates before the elections. I must at this point acknowledge and appreciate the presidential candidates who honored our invitation. In no particular order, I thank Alhaji Ado Ibrahim Abdul Malik, the presidential candidate for Young Progressive Party, Major Hamza Al-Mustafa, retired, the presidential candidate for Action Alliance Party, Mr. Adebayo Adewale Ebenezer, the presidential candidate for Social Democratic Party, Mr. Kachiku Dumebi, the presidential candidate for African Democratic Congress, Mr. Wanyawu Daniel Debere Chukwu, the presidential candidate for Zenith Labour Party, Mr. Sani Yabagi Yusuf, presidential candidate Action Democratic Party, Mr. Showore Omoyele Stephen, the presidential candidate of African Action Congress, Mr. Umedi Peter Nana Chukudi, presidential candidate for All Progressives Grand Alliance, and Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, presidential candidate of Progressive Congress, who was represented here by Mr. Liman, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. I thank you all for listening. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. God bless the Nigerian Bar Association, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Now we are moving to the interactive sessions, and we are going to be doing it 3 at a time. You ask questions, then the NBA president will give his response to your questions, if you have any. Anybody with question? Please. Please, you mention your name, the agency you represent, then you go ahead and ask your question.
Once again, good afternoon. My name is John Chuksazo. I work with Daily Trust. Sir, the interventions of the NBA, which you recaptured in your beginning, on human rights, I would like to know, aside from late Mrs. Bolanle Rahim, who was killed recently in Lagos, some of you in your individual capacities have been intervening in some of the victims of the NSAS. And some families have been paid. A lot of families are still outstanding. So I would like to know, what is NBA doing to enhance that the remaining families will have access to justice, restitution, compensation, and assistance to the victims? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Any other person? Please indicate by raising up your hands, please, if you have any question. I think we'll just go ahead and answer that question, Mr. President.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, my brother from Daily Trust. So, well, I thank you for acknowledging the efforts of the Nigerian Bar Association with respect to what we are doing for our slain colleague, Bolanle Rahim. In addition to Bolanle Rahim, and if you've been following the statements that we issued, the Nigerian Bar Association, you would have noted that there was also a gentleman who was equally killed by an officer of the Nigerian police force from that same Ajah police station, Gafaru Buraimo. We took up his own matter as well, and his own case is equally being processed for prosecution by the Office of the Attorney General of Lagos State. So while, like I said earlier, the legal profession owes Nigeria or Nigerians an apology with respect to omitting to provide leadership and also take responsibility for that privileged position that we occupy. I would like to say that we took up that responsibility, so nobody is in doubt that we only came into the scene because the life of our colleague was involved. No, there is no life that is more important than the other. The life of Gafaru and similar other Nigerians who lost their lives in similar instances are not any less important than the life of our colleague Omobalale Rahim. And what I said is that going forward, by the special grace of God, we would step up our game. We would get involved in dealing with such issues as they arise, and as they come to our attention, we would deploy all our resources in terms of the legal skills that we have and our manpower. We have 128 branches across the country. We have human rights committees in all the branches of the Nigerian Bar Association, and part of their mandate is to identify issues of this nature and take them up, show interest, because that is our primary call to the people of this country. Well, we had abdicated in the past. We have apologized. We have repented. We will come back and continue to do what we are supposed to do, and that is the commitment that we are giving to Nigerians. With respect to the victims of the NSAS protest, I had issued an instruction for us to collate the reports, because the report about some who were supposed to have received compensations at the end of the inquiries conducted in different states. I understand that not all the states set up the commissions of the inquiry, and also that there are some, even in the reports that were conducted and concluded, did not receive what was due to them from the recommendations made by those commissions. And once we receive that report, the intention is to pursue the relevant governments or maybe the agencies that are responsible for making sure that the payments of those compensations are made to the families, and we are on it. I'm sure in no distant time we will be able to give you a definitive report in that regard. I hope this answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have another answer? Okay.
Good afternoon once again. Wando Sombo, News Agency of Nigeria. Mr. President, I think everybody in this room would agree with me that the candidates of the People's Democratic Party, the All Progressives Congress, and Labour Party are the three major contenders for the presidential race. The NBA sent invitation to all the presidential candidates. These three did not show up. Is that not a slap on the face of the NBA? Secondly, was it fair for the NBA to allow a representative of the APC to debate with the other presidential candidates yesterday? Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have another person? Okay. Thank you.
Good afternoon, all. Once again, my name is Alex Enuma. I write for This Day. I was just wondering how the NBA can really be neutral or apolitical in an environment where, on one hand, you felt you have abdicated your role for providing leadership. And a few days from now, Nigerians will be gathering to elect another set of leaders. Some of the people who are asking for Nigerians' votes have baggages, corruption allegations, drug allegations, and your duty is to make Nigerians make the right choice. I don't know how you are really going to do this.
Thank you. Any other person, please?
Let me answer these questions so I don't lose my flow of thoughts, please. Yeah. Number one, my sister from the News Agency of Nigeria. From the point of view of the Nigerian Bar Association, there is no party that is major or minor. Each of the 18 presidential candidates are candidates because they have met the constitutional threshold for eligibility to be a presidential candidate. And it was on that basis that we extended invitations to all of them. Now, if some of them chose not to turn up, nobody is slapping us on the face. We don't consider that as a slap on our face. I mean, it is for us to extend an invitation to all the presidential candidates. It is for them to respond. We would simply need Nigerians to make a judgment in that respect, because the invitation was not just for the NBA as an association. We made that invitation with the clear understanding that we represent the people of this country, and we are the voice of this people, of the people of this country. So if the response to our invitation is not to come, it is for Nigerians to make their own judgment. And then secondly, with respect to the All Progressives Congress that decided to send someone to represent him, it is also for Nigerians to make their own judgment. And let me also make it very clear, what we had yesterday was not a debate. We did not organize a debate. We had 3 thematic areas of security, economy, and administration of justice. We had panelists that came to stimulate conversation along the lines of what MBA expect leaders of this country to deliver. And it was after that that the presidential candidates that were present were invited to come and tell us their own views. Should they get there, what would they do on these 3 thematic areas, which I'm sure you would agree with me all dovetail into each other. And I'm sure if we can get the issue or issues of security, which impacts on the economy and is directly also of consequence on administration of justice, I'm sure this country would enjoy a positive turnaround. So I would leave you to make that assessment. For us, if any of the presidential candidates or all of them decided to send someone to come and tell us what their views are, we will receive whatever information has been passed to us. It's up to Nigerians to also make a determination one way or the other, because like I said, the invitation by the Nigerian Bar Association was extended to all the presidential candidates on behalf of Nigerians. Now, my good friend that asked questions about allegations. You know, the motto of the Nigerian Bar Association is promoting the rule of law. And allegations remain allegations until they are proved. Give me evidence of the conviction of any of these presidential candidates on any of the things alleged against them. I would guarantee you that that president or that presidential candidate would not stand the election in this country. But as long as they remain allegations, they are allegations, they have not been proven, or we do not have proof that those things have been proven according to the threshold set by law, and that is the only basis upon which anyone will suffer disability from contesting an election. So you call them allegations of involvement in drugs, of corruption, they remain allegations. We cannot base our judgment on allegations. So we are not in any way inhibited in providing that leadership that we have talked about. And we expect, within the understanding of what the law has provided, for Nigerians to repose confidence in the Nigerian Bar Association to provide that leadership that is desired. If there is anyone that has evidence of conviction of any of the presidential candidates, please make it available to us, and we will take steps to make sure that that does not happen. And in any case, it is also a constitutional requirement that if there is a conviction, then you are disqualified from contesting the election. If you also go to the Electoral Act, there are provisions for post-election disputes. You can raise objection on the fact that the person who won the election, for instance, he has evidence of conviction. That means he was not qualified in the first place to participate or contest the election. That is also something that is available to whoever would stand election with such a person that is said to have conviction against him or her. So that would be my response to that, but I will be glad to see any such evidence, and we would engage the machinery of law to ensure that no convict stands election in this country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Do we have any other person? Okay.
Good afternoon once again. My name is Kainde Osasono. I write for the Gave Online. Let me start by saying, nation building, no doubt, is an Herculean task, and it requires the collective efforts of all and sundry as stakeholders to do the needful. Yesterday, at yesterday's outing, the NBA president confessed that the legal profession, his constituency, have not really paid its part very well, especially when a nation is drifting and is on the brink. So going forward, sir, what is NBA doing to change the narrative? I mean, against the background of the fact that you are a big stakeholder here and you have a crucial role to play going forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other person, please?
Good morning, Mr. President. I'm Nemeka Ondros. I write for the Whistler newspapers. Sir, when you won the election, during your introductory, your statement, you talked about uniting the body, the lawyers. Now, I wanted to ask, why are lawyers rising up to split? Why are lawyers rising up in kind of trying to split the association? For instance, in the tenure of your predecessor, we had the new Nigeria Bar Association. Last year, we also had the people called Law Society of Nigeria. Then we also aware of the arguments between the BOB chairman and MBA. So I wanted to ask you, sir, why are lawyers, what's responsible for lawyers trying to split the association? And what steps is being taken to unite the bar? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. President will answer now.
Let me answer these questions, please, before I... The gentleman that talked about nation building, of course, nation building is not a sprint, it's marathon. What are we doing? For the first time in the history of the Nigerian Bar Association, flowing from our understanding of that responsibility that we talked about, we organized the State of the Nation dialogue, which you participated in yesterday. What did we do? We called those who intend to take up the reins of power in this country to say, talk to us on these thematic areas, which some of them came. And what do we intend to do with the result of the national dialogue? Like I stated in my earlier address, we would put together our report. It would contain, what we did yesterday wasn't exhaustive. So we would put together our position on behalf of Nigerians, our expectation from whoever is going to take up leadership position in this country. It will become the basis upon which we would go after whoever it is that becomes the president or all of those that have taken responsibility in any of the elective offices in this country, and it becomes the basis upon which we hold them to account. Now, whether you came for the dialogue yesterday or you didn't come, at the end of the day, we'll put together our report. We'll send it to all the presidential candidates. We can't sit here and determine who would win. That's why I told my sister that from the point of view of the Nigerian Bar Association, we do not have major or minor political parties. It is Nigerians that will determine who the major political party is at the end of the day, by expressing their franchise, by expressing their choice, or who they want to take up the leadership of this country. And eventually, if that is done, then it becomes the person on whom we would concentrate our attention. Our document would have been submitted to him, then it becomes the basis upon which we go back to him or her. I understand we have a female a presidential candidate. She wasn't here as well yesterday. And ask them periodically, well, this is what we gave to you from the point of view of the Nigerian Bar Association on behalf of the people. What have you done? Oh, you haven't done A, B, C, and D. Or what do you plan to do? How do you go about doing it? We have this and that advice on how we believe you can achieve this successfully. And then it becomes the basis of the engagement. That is what the Nigerian Bar Association is set to do, and that is the commitment that we are giving to Nigerians. So that is what we plan to do. And the other questions? Yes, so the gentleman that talked about the LSN. So maybe I'll put it this way. We are, as an administration, committed to a united bar. First and foremost, the law as it is today recognizes the Nigerian Bar Association and the Nigerian Bar Association alone as the platform on which everyone called to the bar as barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria would associate. It's a requirement of the law. You really do not have an option to not be a member of the Nigerian Bar Association. So, what are we doing to keep everybody together? Of course, as the leadership of the Nigerian Bar Association, we need to look after the welfare of our members. We have to make sure that all members are treated equally. It is only when you begin to have double standards in the treatment of members that you begin to divide the association. Now, some of the reactions that you see are persons, we believe, from all the evidence that we can find around all these agitations, had to do with not being happy with the outcome of the results of the election, and that is the way that they thought they should react, by creating another platform for them to come together. And that is another reaction to the fact that we changed the system of electing national officers from the delegate system to the universal suffrage, which happened with the amendment that came in 2015 of the Constitution of the Nigerian Bar Association, where all members of the Nigerian Bar Association, even if you are just coming out of the Nigerian Law School and you are called to the bar and you meet the constitutional threshold to vie for an election or to also vote at that election, you are allowed to vote. Some people have lost by that singular change that was done in their constitution. They have lost what they used to enjoy as the control of the association, where people sit down somewhere and determine who becomes what in the association. That is completely gone. So some of the things that you see in terms of people coming together and wanting to have another association. It's a reaction to all this. And what we said is that, look, universal suffrage allows for participation by everyone. If someone who has just been called to the Nigerian bar today has the right of audience before the Supreme Court, and if someone who is 18 years old is also capable of expressing his franchise in the choice of the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, why should you restrict the choice of who becomes the leader of the body of lawyers to simply a few individuals? Why don't you allow all to express their own desire, their own choice as to who they want to lead the association? That way, at the end of the day, like we all emerged from the popular votes of the members of the Nigerian Bar Association, because everyone who was eligible, who met the criteria for voting, was allowed to vote. We all went to the polls. It was an electronic voting. We all voted online. You voted. There was no restriction whatsoever. So those were, I believe, the reactions by those. So what we keep telling them is that you should imbibe the spirit of sportsmanship. If you get into any contest, only one person would win. We happen to be the ones that won, and we are grateful to God for the privilege of winning the election. In my inaugural speech, I extended a hand of fellowship to all those with whom I contested the election. But rather than accept that offer, what we got is the fact that they are trying to establish another association. And there is no provision for that under our law. A lot of things would have to happen for them to succeed in doing that. It is not my making. It is not me posing any resistance to them. It is a function of the extant provision of the laws as we speak today. And let me also make it very clear. There is no conflict between the NBA and the body of benchers. What the Nigerian Bar Association, under my leadership, is complaining about has to do with issues of professional misconduct, as they relate or they directly impact on the confidence of the public in the legal profession. Because if we talk about providing leadership to Nigerians, then Nigerians must have the necessary confidence to allow us to lead them. But when we conduct ourselves outside of the ethics of the profession, and we appear to have double standards in the way we treat ourselves, or we have a situation where it has been fed into the psyche of Nigerians that there is someone sitting somewhere who can manipulate the court process, then it is difficult for us to earn the confidence of Nigerians and provide that leadership. What would happen is that whatever comes out of the process of adjudication, of the settlement of disputes through the process of the judiciary, through the process of the court, cannot be accepted by the public as the justice of the situation. That bothers us because the perception of the public in the profession, either serving on the bench or at the bar, is necessary for us to elicit that confidence for us to be able to provide the leadership to Nigerians. That is the only thing that we have raised, and we are saying that people have kept quiet, nobody is talking, and it has hurt the nation. The people of this country are fast losing confidence in the adjudicatory process in view of some of the revelations that came out, and they are all over in the social media. The public read them. Nigerians are not dumb. Nigerians are smart. They've seen this thing and they are observing, and we said something has to be done to change the narrative, because that is not a representation of who we are. It is certainly not true that there is anyone who can manipulate the process of court simply because he occupies a particular position. No. Are we saying that we do not have cases of unethical conduct here and there. No, that's not what we are saying. But that cannot be the basis of characterizing the legal profession in this country. And we just identified the danger that portends that sort of information seeping into the public, getting into the psyche of Nigerians, and there is going to be a reaction someday. And we want to do whatever we can as members of the Nigerian Bar Association to make sure that Nigerians understand that that does not represent us as a legal profession in this country, so that Nigerians can repose the necessary confidence in us to provide the leadership which we are naturally called to do by reason of the privileged position that we occupy as lawyers in this country. So there is no fight. It is simply trying to do what we need to do because it is important. I mean, if you are given a group of people to lead and they don't have confidence in you that what you tell them is exactly what you are going to do, you will look back and you will never find them. And that means you have lost that leadership position vis-a-vis the people that you are called to lead. So it is important for us to conduct ourselves within the bounds of professional conduct, within the bounds of the ethics that is set, and we cannot afford to have double standards. We cannot say because you occupy a particular position, we will treat your case different from somebody who is a young lawyer. If what we are dealing with in those issues, and I'm sure you are familiar with them, it's not for me to begin to repeat them here. If it was someone who is 5 years old at the bar, you probably wouldn't have had the complaint. And there are many lawyers today in this country that lost their licenses because they simply sold land and shared the fees with an estate surveyor. That is professional misconduct. And there is no professional misconduct that is bigger than the other. And so we are saying that there are no double standards. And when you allow double standards, it affects the profession. It affects the profession. It then consequently affects the confidence of the public in the profession. It then hurts the nation. That means whatever is delivered in the process of administration of justice to the public will not be accepted by the public. And if the public do not accept what comes out of the court as the justice of the case, what is going to happen is that the public will resort to self-help. Where you have self-help, you have anarchy, you have chaos, and you will lose what we call today as Nigerians. And if we don't make this effort to correct this impression in the minds of the people, I am telling you, my brother, we will lose this country. That is why we are very strong on the issue of professional conduct. That is why at every opportunity we talk about it. Yes, we have issues of professional misconduct, but that is just a minute fraction of the members of the profession, both on the bench, talking about judges and justices, and at the bar. It just constitutes a minute fraction. Don't use it to judge all of us. And that is why our concern is let members of the profession come and speak up against it, so that Nigerians will know that that is not who we are. And then we begin to tell Nigerians this is who we are. We begin to tell Nigerians they can have confidence in the administration of justice in this country, so that whatever result comes out of any adjudicatory process, we accept it as the justice of the case within the ambit of what the law has provided. We are satisfied and we can go home and begin to recalibrate and move on with our lives, so that people who are disgruntled would refuse to go to court and resort to self-help. The person who has a Dane gun will go and use it instead of going to court. The person who has a club will go and use it to get what he considers as his own revenge instead of going to court. The person who has a cutlass would use it. That is what we must avoid. And the only way to do it is to get people to remain civil. And the only way you can remain civil is to have confidence in the administration of justice processes that have been provided by the law. There is no conflict between the body of benchers and the Nigerian Bar Association. Even the body of benchers is not happy, I believe, with any case of professional misconduct. That is why it is within the body of benchers that the Legal Practitioner Disciplinary Committee is domiciled. It is their responsibility to speak. And if there is anything that appears as conflict, it's because we in the NBA found that they are not speaking. And we said, don't keep quiet. Silence can amount to admission. If you keep quiet when they said somebody has done something and you are elevating him, that means you are celebrating what the man did. And it means you are telling the public that that is how you do your things, which is also wrong. And if that happens to be the understanding of the public and they accept it that way, then we will lose our leadership position. And for the legal profession to lose its leadership position means the absence of justice in the country. And where there is no justice, a people cannot exist. That is really the crux of that matter, no more, no less, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. That will be the end of this interactive session. I will invite the Assistant Publicity Secretary for a vote of thanks. Thank you. Mr. Charles.
Thank you very much, Mr. Public Secretary. I'm most honored for the privilege to be invited to thank you all for coming to this press conference. Your participation at the State of the Nation dialogue yesterday and today at this press conference must have sufficiently impressed on you that the NBA at this time is what I call the people's NBA. I know you will let the Nigerian people know that they now have a Nigerian Bar Association that is ready, that is willing, and that is able to give them the succor that they need anytime they do need it. We thank you for choosing to join hands with the Nigerian Bar Association. We hope you won't get tired, because we won't. We hope we'll always have you with us as we work to birth a better Nigeria, where the rule of law truly reigns. Let me especially thank the alternate chairman of the Planning Committee of the State of the Nation Dialogue and Press Conference, two-term Attorney General of Ekiti State, the Honorable Attorney General, my namesake, Mr. Olawale Fakunda, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, who has also chosen to be here with us, and also to thank very quickly a media guru who is here in the house as well, another namesake of mine, Mr. Charles Odenigo, for being part of all of this. But please clap for all of you. Clap for yourselves. Clap for yourselves. Please clap for yourselves. You truly deserve it. Provision has been made for light refreshment behind the hall to my right. And I urge you all to wait for that. Mr. Obiago is here and he's also in the house. I thought he left earlier. Thank you for being in the house with us, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Thank you very much, sir. We are happy that we have you in the house. And I'm sure the newsmen will be interested to know, so that he can attack him well, is the chairman of the Human Rights Institute of the Nigerian Bar Association. As you all know, the NBA has an institute that focuses 24/7 on the issues relating to human rights. There will be a group photograph now with national officers and then the pressmen that are around. I want to thank the members of the secretariat staff and the planning committee of this event as well. Thank you very much for all you have done. Since I was asked to actually give a vote of thanks, I hereby cast my vote in your favor in this manner. Thank you. National officers first for the group photograph. All national officers present for the group photographs. We'll just stay at the back here. Should we stay behind there, Emeka? Here or here? The way we are. Okay, very well. Then the journalist will be afterwards. The press statement of the president of the Nigerian Bar Association will be circulated after the photograph session. Just before members of the press, can we have the members of the NBA secretariat that are present, then the members of the press immediately after? Members of the NBA secretariat. Honorable Attorney General, senior members of the bar present. Honorable Attorney General, please join in this photograph. Chairman of Human Rights Institute. Do we have any branch chairman present as well? Yes. Oh, that's the chairman of the Abuja branch of the Unity Bar of the NBA. Please join this photograph as well. Honorable Attorney General, Leonard Silk. Okay. Bayo, can you help with these chairs?
Yeah, it's fine.